from Eyewitness News.
But now joining us to discuss both the substance and the theater of the night are political strategists Brittany Martinez and Matt Klink. Matt, starting with you, did Trump make a good pitch to Americans on these tariffs?
Well, I mean, his speech covered a lot more than that. It was almost a 90-minute speech, I think, or almost 90 minutes. And I mean, look, it was an unapologetic speech in the sense that he catered to his base. He certainly did not extend any olive branches to the Democrats, and he laid out the case why he believes his tariffs will work. Again, the proof will be in the pudding. And, look, voters don't care about macroeconomic trends and inflation and the consumer price index. They care about whether they can afford eggs and milk and diapers. And I'm sure that farmers care about whether they have markets for their crops. So, again, if Trump doesn't deliver, the voters are fickle and they will turn on him. But he's only been in office for 43 days, so he hasn't even implemented his economic agenda yet.
And Brittany, to the point that Matt was making about olive branches being extended, you can make the point that he didn't extend many olive branches, even saying at the start, they're not going to stand up and talk, support, and of course referring to Democrats about the policy, even the good things. But at the same respect, too, Democrats did exactly that. They didn't really stand up and applaud for most things. You saw some applause, but it was very reserved and sitting down. What did you make of the night?
I don't know how you guys feel, but I think that was the biggest circus I've ever seen for a joint address to Congress. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. You're right. I don't think Trump went in there trying to extend any olive branches. It was a stump speech. That's what I heard from the very get-go. And of course, Democrats, right, are in a position where they're hearing from their constituents who are not happy with Trump, even though he's only been in office for the month, that they need to fight and they need to push back. And so what you see on the Democrat end is them trying their version of theatrics. I will point out, though, that you didn't see that coming from leadership. Jeffries, Pelosi, who's, Speaker, the former Speaker Pelosi and all of those folks. And I think that's a testament to what the progressive wing of the Democrat Party is doing versus kind of where leadership is trying to steer them. I think that you're going to continue seeing that. It's a lot easier to fight a common enemy when you're in the minority, but I'll also say that in those moments, it's also easy to kind of fight amongst yourselves. I think we're going to continue seeing that in this Congress.
Matt, what did you make of some of those theatrics that we saw in there? I mean, because it did come from not only the president, of course, he has his select number of guests that he wants to talk about and make political points when he has the chance, but then also some of what we saw from Democrats too. I think probably most notably Al Green there being escorted out.
Yeah, Brittany, I think you're right. I mean, it was sophomoric on their part. It was largely ineffective. They held up, little plastic signs with varying messages on them. They couldn't even get coordinated on what color they were wearing. Some wore pink, some wore black, some wore white. I mean, it just goes to show you that the Democrats are still reeling from November 4th. They have not figured out why they lost and what they need to do to change it. And I think that, look at their choice tonight of who they chose to give the response. Senator Slotkin, a moderate Democrat from Michigan, great choice. The messaging was just the same old stuff that we heard in November. And until that changes, the Democrats are going to continue to, they're running in circles right now.
And Brittany, last question to you. What's the biggest takeaway here for the Central Valley? What should we have seen in tonight's address that we take in for these next several months?
That's a great question. So the first thing that came to mind is how many times energy was talked about. It was mentioned 4 times. The first incident was blaming the Biden administration for our current energy crisis, but also not really giving us a lay of the land of how he's going to move forward in trying to reduce energy costs. We are the, most populated state. The gas prices, I just looked it up, in California are $1.76 higher than the national average. I think that's something that needed to be talked about more with more specificity and really honed in on, because this is what people care about. It's those kitchen table issues. I wish we'd seen more of that from the president tonight. Unfortunately, I didn't buy it. And that's something that's going to be really big for the Central Valley.
Well, the governor has caved in on some Trump demands as far as things like CEQA are concerned. It'll be fascinating to see if there's going to be anything and any changes to that built-in dollar as far as gas prices are concerned, as well as Trump and Newsom continue their interesting negotiations and dance. We heard a lot from President Trump tonight. We're going to hear from the other side of the aisle right here in California with Representative Latifah Simon, who has the progressive response to the president's address tonight at 11 p.m. on our sister station, KBFX CBS. Brittany, Matt, thank you so much. Kyle, back to you.